What's going on, y'all? It's J Smo Reviews here, back at it again with another video, man. Bringing you guys, as you can see, another top 5 based around NOME 14 as we get closer and closer. And this is the top 5 battlers with the most pressure heading into NOME. I'm not necessarily straight up top 5 battlers that need to win most. Was thinking about doing that, and for some of them it will apply, like that is part of the reasoning that will apply, but pressure's a little bit more than that. Even if you're the underdog, there could be that immense amount of pressure on you where people are doubting you, or all eyes are on you for like the wrong reason. And there is some people that are on that brink and need to get a stamp from this event, have a big chance, and there's some that have that stamp but the ink is fading a little bit and they got to reapply, right? So plenty of different ways to look at it. Some battles aren't going to be talked about, right? But obviously we're going to talk about, for me, the people I'm looking directly at to be the best version of themselves. And without further ado, let's start out from number 5. So at that starter spot, at the 5 spot, it is going to be a battler that kind of applies to the situation I said earlier, where I said battlers, they're trying to get that stamp, right? Be top tiers and perennially be on these cards. And this is someone who's going to be on his 4th NOME already, so clearly he's building that. But this would probably be the final battle, although he's had many that felt like the stamp. I think this will be the unquestionable one, and that is Fonz in his battle versus Geechee Gotti. It's one of my favorite matchups on the card. I expect the battle to be great either way, and the pressure here for Fonz is that, like I said, he's had battles that I thought was the stamp. I thought maybe after he kind of smoked Suge on SM, that would be the one that stamped in. For some people, it was. The Rum Nitty battle, I heavily doubted him going in, and I think that's a very, very good, one of the best battles that year, debatable battle at that. And then even recently, he's just been handled business versus Mac Myron. Even though it's not the best, he handled business versus O-Red. Him and Chef Trez is an incredible battle, but there's still people that are going to look at the early part of Fonz's career, which is something I was critical of when it was happening, and he wasn't fantastic versus top tier competition. Av, JC, Danny Myers. All 3 of those battles, actually pretty good versus Av, but I have him pretty clearly losing all 3 of those battles. And then you would have random hiccups like the one-rounder versus B-Magic that I had him losing. The one-rounder versus Drugs, you know what I'm saying, doesn't go his way. So he's had moments earlier that caused a little bit of, as great as he punches, you know, is he going to figure it out fully on the big stage? Is he going to be like that versus top-tier comp? And as of recently, he has. The energy that he brought for like a Lou Castro or a Tink the Demon, where he would just bully someone that's like under his skill level, which he still does. He's now applying that level of quality to the top tier matchups, and that's why you're seeing him kind of starting to get more and more treated like a star or a key piece on every big event, because he's rising to the occasion. In a battle versus Geechee Gotti, who's in that Nitty Tay Rock tier even more so, where it's just some of the absolute, not just the best active in the world right now, but considered some of the best ever. We're just seeing them in live time still follow out their careers. So at the goal for Fonz here, a clear win would be great, but you just cannot lose this battle clear. I think if it's a very fire, debatable, and you really match Gotti and look like his equal, consistently doing that year after year is how you get more and more of the people to just accept that you're a top tier talent, and you have to be accepted with the elites now. But for that to happen, since your career started off not the best versus top tiers, even though it's been better, this will probably be that last one that, like I said, if it's a fire, debatable, or Fonz clearly wins the battle, that's it. And that's why, for me, he has some of the most pressure coming into the card. But from there, we can go right to number 4 in another battle where it's someone that I already believe in themselves and already, for me, has proven themselves, but I know this is going to be the one that if you're a doubter of them, this will undoubtedly make you have to just let it go. And that is Coffee Brown in her battle versus Jazz the Rapper. And I thought about maybe putting Jazz on here at first, because of how her last year went. Coffee did rank over her, right? Jazz was 3 for Wody, Hustle 1, and Coffee 2. There's a little bit of an argument where it's like, hey, she battled a lot of the top tier men, and while she's like pretty good, she wasn't nearly as dominant as she usually is. Took a couple losses in me and many people's opinions. So, you know, does she have to come right back and show complete dominance, or do you start questioning her a little bit, right? If she's not exactly as dominant versus the women, did the men kind of figure something out? I'm just saying that this is a proposed theory, and I've kind of heard some people inching towards this. But for me, Jazz is the best female battle rapper of all time. And even if she lost to Coffee, I just don't know if that changes. I can't say, even if you would not wanted to argue she's the best female battle rapper in the world right now, she just lost the award. That kind of determines that, right? So there's already a debate for that, but could it really affect her legacy? It will be big, but I don't know. But as for Coffee, it means everything to her. I mean, she's someone that already, to me, is built up on the brink of like a Hall of Fame career. I mean, you got to give it to Coffee. She's a WOTY. She's also now been a runner-up for the award. She's battling all types of top-tier ladies with a mixed, bag of results. Sometimes maybe people don't always have her on the winning side, but she's very good and very competitive in most of these battles more often than not. I think her and E. Hart is debatable. Granted, I have her losing, but I had her beating a 40 bars. She clearly beat Shuni. The hustle battle's incomplete. For what it's worth, I kind of had her winning before it got called off, but can't count that. It's an incomplete battle. But now you're here, and you have Jazz the Rapper. There's really no bigger battle when you look at the female side of battle rap. And I'm just excited to see what she does. I do feel like to an extent she is playing with house money. So that's why I was thinking her, Jazz, like, how does that go with the pressure? Because, I mean, she is going to be a severe underdog in this battle, and she's worked her way up. She's still considered one of the elites. I think people just really respect how Jazz matches up versus some of the other top-tier women. It's more about Jazz in that sense, prediction-wise, than it is about her. But if she is able to, like I said with Fonz, have a very good debatable with Jazz or even win the battle, I mean, it just does wonders for her career at this point. Even for someone that's already done, I'm not saying it overnight, like it'll get another plate that she really wants, but I just think that you'd have to consider her kind of in the group with the legends. I mean, she's gonna have faced most of them, and the results will have been great. And if you go against Jazz and give her if you give Jazz a debatable or you beat her, it is one of the best efforts in the female battle versus Jazz ever. Like, automatically off rip, there's just so little competitiveness in her body of work versus the other lady legends that you would automatically put yourself in kind of a small group of battlers, like official at heart, basically. So very excited to see what Coffee does. I do think with the amount of the underdog that she is, you could say some of that pressure shifts towards Jazz, but this is Coffee's moment where she could put a stamp on her legacy and why I think that she has some of the most pressure on the card. So now heading into the top three, and obviously this means these are the three people that I think have the most pressure on them for NOME, and I really don't even think it's all that questionable. And at number 3, we have Jerry West in his battle versus Tay-Rock, and it's just like these first two that we spoke about. It's about stamping, you know what I'm saying? And if there's anyone out of these three here that I think needs it the most, that the people still don't view in that like top tier spotlight, even though many should in my opinion, it is Jerry West, even though he had the DNA win. And I remember asking, I put I said this every time I talk about these battles, I talk about this, but I put 2 like Twitter polls up, and I was like, do you think Fonz is a top tier now after his Suge battle? Do you think Jerry's a top tier now after his DNA battle? And the Fonz one was much more convincing. Even just the noise, when I went and asked people that, I respect behind the scenes, other media members, there's like, people are ready for Fonz to be that like next level star. He's earned his way there. And with Jerry, I think there's a lot of people that have seen the work and have seen the talent, but even more so with Fonz, when I talked about him losing the top tiers earlier in his career, it's like that with Jerry, the way it sticks with people, but then like to another level, because we remember 29, he's been here longer. Actually, you could debate, Fonz has got PG footage, but in terms of when Jerry got his like initial push, there's been more of an attempt to make him into that top tier spotlight earlier, so people have seen that first run, and we know how it ended. Although there was some really good, I don't think people remember the John battle that was really good for Jerry West. I don't think people always remember his Glue Easy performance. Granted, it's not a top tier opponent, but how great he was in that battle. They remember things like, although he was good versus Nitty, he lost. They remember things like all the like the Arsenal battle and Volume and how that went for him. I just think there's more people remembering the lows than there is remembering the highs. And then there was through like right after COVID when he lost to like Swamp, Loso, and he didn't look all that competitive. So now you have a Jerry for the last year or two. It's been pretty fucking perfect. I can't lie to you. Everyone for the last little bit has smoked Luke Castro, but he really smoked Luke Castro. His battle with Foots on Outside 2 was one of the best battles of that weekend. I know it's not high profile all up in your face, but for those of you that have seen it, it's like an elite level battle. And then obviously he goes on to SM, and he smokes DNA. I mean, he kind of sat, granted, prayers to DNA, obviously he's sitting out, working on some other business things. I'm sure it's more for the mental health too, but he kind of sat DNA down, man. That's not just some shit that people do. I think that's a top tier level, like, effort. I think that's something that only some of the better people in the game can do. But the respect still isn't fully there, and a big part of that is him not getting booked on URL after DNA. It's been 6 or 7 months since his last major battle. He battled Whispers in the UK, who T-Top has also battled. But if you don't watch every battle like me, you probably didn't even know he had that battle realistically. So, besides that, and like a little showing on the wrestling card, your next battle's Rock, basically. We waited 6 or 7 months after your biggest performance of your career on SM, and now you got NOME versus Rock. And it's just about like with the other two. Winning changes, especially for like a Jerry West. I mean, it changes your career overnight if you clear Tay-Rock, especially on NOME. If you're competitive, it's a good, great, debatable battle. That still is that huge plus that you need. And especially versus Rock with all this COTY noise, if you give him the best fight or one of the best fights he had, it's no question whatsoever. Like, people are going to now put that stamp of respect on your name just because of how much they respect Rock. You just can't lose this battle clear. You cannot lose this battle clear. And if he does, you're going to have some people that want to go back to square one with Jerry West. Whether that's fair or not, that's the cutthroat nature of this game. That's the position he's in, having 2 legacy battles, but they're like 7 months apart with nothing in between. And that's why, for me, you can almost debate that Jerry's number 1 in terms of pressure. I just feel like these people at 1 and 2, you'll see have a little bit more ramifications on the overall look at things in legacy. But in terms of individual pressure and what a battler can gain, I don't think anyone stands as much to gain as Jerry West does on NOME 14. As I said, while you have that stamp, while you have that legacy, it's not just about what you did, it's about what you keep doing. And the ink will fade a little bit if you don't reapply. That's why I think Loaded Lux is under some of the most pressure here on NOME 14, which is crazy for someone of this legend status, because we know when it gets to this point, even when they lose, they don't really lose. We know how set in stone they are, the near mythical type of hype that these types of legends get, no matter what. However, my big thing with Lux is I do expect him to do great in this battle, but there's 2 things for me that add pressure to it. One is the fact that it is the first, as I'll say over and over, real pen-based, other just pen style that he's faced. People will say Verb. I consider more Verb of an all-around guy. If you just said Verb, yo, you're a pen, like that's what we're classifying you as, Verb probably get pissed off at that. Too much real talk, too much angling, too much of all these other things. Nitty is a writer. Like, and we talk about this, the Daylight, JC, Danny, and the Nitty, like this type of lane of battler that people wanted Lux to go against. Nitty to me is closer into that Daylight type of a cat, like level, than that of a JC or Danny, where even though it's all based on writing, there is an amount of star power that goes to it, headlining power, accolades. So now you finally have someone else that's a pure pen style that you finally get to get in the ring with. And I need to see you defend that title Lux has had of, many people saying he's the best writer. He's the godfather of it, but is he the best anymore? It's time for him to go and defend that throne, and I think this is a great battle for that. And then secondly, there's been talk about promo for the card, right? And I saw even Hitman tweeted about it, a couple people. You wouldn't even know NOME's going down. It's quiet. There's no hype. These battlers have been promoing, man. Nitty has done skits, interview runs. He's going at Lux for the most part on social media. Jerry West had a great trailer and is doing an interview run for Rock. Every battler is, reposting, sending out all types of stuff. I see URL is posting the card every day. Fonz and Geechee have went back and forth on Instagram with jokes, Twitter with jokes. So there is people putting energy in the card. There's just one guy who's dead silent, and that's Loaded Lux. So the energy, the sell the card, this and that. That is the only guy in this card who's actually not promoting the card if you go and check these battlers and the league's page. So, for a guy that's supposed to shift the culture and tectonic plates will move when he arrives, it has been dead silence. He's retweeted the flyer. He hasn't even posted himself. And I saw, more than I saw, and I'll send condolences again. I know that his brother passed. So obviously that could have an effect on a man. And I'm sure that, if at the end of the day Lux shows up to the battle and he's great, this part doesn't matter as much. I mean, it does. Promo matters in battle rap, but he is dealing with an extreme family loss. So if that's really what's playing a factor into it, we'll see, but we're at a point. You are defending your throne. People aren't the happiest with your last 5 years of performances. They don't love the serve performance that much. The Verb one, your second's amazing, but they want to see that across all 3 rounds. The first and the third don't replicate that second at all. And we know he's coming off of a loss to Geechee Gotti. So, people will debate, he's already so stamped, what pressure can he really face? But I genuinely think if Nitty goes in here and just clears Lux, if Lux is good and gets cleared, or if he's regular like he is versus Gotti and gets cleared, there's going to be conversations, I think real conversations, more than before, about someone else being now the undisputedly better than Lux all time as a writer, and that battle rap has kind of passed him in terms of him being the best with the pen. And who knows what it'll go into in the next battle. It's kind of hard to go and market you versus Hitman if you lost to Gotti, sat down for 3 years, came back, and then lost to Nitty, who's in your own lane. I just feel like for the first time in quite some time, there is actually a little bit to lose here for Lux, if not a good chunk of that maybe aura or leverage and negotiations going forward, if you once again are lackluster to the people in this battle. So, humongous legend. Some are going to say he could never face pressure, but I genuinely think all eyes are on Lux, and there's a good amount of critique that will go his way if he's any less than great in this battle. And that leaves you with who I think who has the most pressure, and that is his opponent in Rum Nitty. And while I talked about Lux, he needs the win, he needs this. You have a guy like Nitty who's been the complete opposite. He has his champion of the year. He's been fantastic and outside more than 99% of the game, and he gives better quality even with that high activity. Everything that you can really say is a positive in modern battle rap or things that people love, a lot of that Nitty exhibits monthly, right? So how does he have the most pressure? It's the biggest battle of his career, man. It's all led up to this Lux battle. He has fought that stigma of being a no promo pen archetype his whole career, and he's just off of straight work ethic, kind of fought through that, and at this point, damn near considered on that superstar level with a Tay-Rock or with a Geechee. I've always looked at him, he's on that level skill-wise, all-time-wise, no question, but in terms of how he's promoted as that star, he's always been, I just think there's just that little separator, and a win over Lux for me might finally break down that barrier, where if there's anyone considering him apart from maybe that top 5 type of conversation all-time, top 10 blocked, this would be the one for maybe, the older fans that don't fully believe in the new punchers era that would maybe change their minds. It's the biggest battle of his career. It's his endgame battle said by himself. It doesn't get bigger in stakes than that. So it's kind of funny. The main event, I think both battlers are facing the absolute most pressure on the card. And there it is. That was my 5 battlers with the most pressure heading into NOME 14. And like I said, you can view it as battlers that they're such the favorite and they should win that they can't afford that type of loss. Or you can look at it as some of the underdogs here from, like I said, from 3. I don't know if they're all underdogs, Jerry, Coffee, and Fonz, right? But the people who are battling to get to that next level for sure, as opposed to those who are already at that next level and trying to stay there further the legacy. So in saying that, I'd love to hear how you guys view it. Do you view the Jerrys, the Fonzes, and the Coffees? Do you think those are the people with the absolute most pressure? Or do you view the people in the bigger battles or some of these Geechee Gottis, a Rock who's on a COTY run? Do you think that's the most valuable? I'd love to hear your opinions in the comments down below. And also, it's looking like I already have the next NOME record set up, and I want to thank you guys for the love that you've shown on the NOME battle record so far. The T-Top one, I think, is closing in at 500, and Clips, I think, is going to 250 or something, which to me, it's just, I know the people are fucking with it when I'm seeing some of the more likes that I've gotten. I just like that you guys like in the series, because it's one of my favorite ones to make. So thank you for all the kind words on it and the good dialogue that we're having. But as I said, let me know what you guys think of NOME. Who do you think has the most pressure going in? It's been Jay Smo Reviews again, y'all. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to catch you on the next one, man. Peace.